Alright, show match to finish the evening. Again, the King of the Hill will be finished later on. Right now we have VindicareX and Caeltos, who somehow changed his tag or got a new one. I don't know. But it's still Caeltos. On Outer Reaches, with VindicareX playing as Tech Marine versus Caeltos as Plague Champion. And Bluefoot, yes, I can do some more games afterwards. I mean, I'm not tired. I just feel my tongue is starting to die. Tiger, tell me, is that an unhappy face or a happy face? I can't tell. I couldn't turn my head fast enough. Anyways, we have Vindicare going for a tech squad. Caeltos going for CSM. And yeah, quite interesting matchup. Tech Marine versus Plague Marine. Plague Champion. Both commanders being able to deploy turrets. Both being considered the defensive commander choice in their map. So VindicareX going for a second scout squad, maybe for added capping power. Caeltos did not go for additional heretics yet. We might see that later. He also did decide to upgrade the bottom node first, which is quite interesting since most players tend to pick the top power point as their natural, since it's the only one that's on your side of the map. Not sure what Caeltos is planning to do. You get out of my screen. We do see VindicareX having his forces rather tight. Only his one scout squad is venturing the map, looking for points to cap. Found out that there's a power node at bottom right now. And Caeltos Heretics do have the Aspiring Champion upgrade, so they will be quite more resistant to damage, and they will also deal quite a lot more damage themselves. VindicareX now purchased a Scout Sergeant, most likely to do a nice grenade spike. Caeltos is very well aware of that fact and actually manages to get Vindicare to grenade himself with his own scouts, which is quite funny. And so Vindicare's commander is forced to retreat.
We push back the veil of shadows.
Map control seems to be heavily in Caeltos' favor so far. VP's very slightly in Vindicare's favor. But nothing to be worried about, I think. Also, Caeltos is trying to destroy these two generators that are coming up just now. Not sure if he will be able to do that. It does seem like Chaos Space Marines actually outdamaged the building of generators, and one indeed does go down. So already a little loss for a little wreck loss for Vindicare already. Caeltos using Worship to keep his CSM in the fight a little longer. Unfortunately, one member did go down, so that didn't quite work out as planned. VindicareX now with some Devastators on the field, which could be very hard to counter for Caeltos, in Tier 1 at least. Coming Tier 2, there's Blood Crushers and Blood Ledgers to take care of that. But before then, could be quite hard. At least if VindicareX is positioning them well. Well, you know what I mean. Anyway, sees them lose another member. Caeltos really unlucky in that regard, and now Devastator is set up and starts firing on the Plague Champion, who isn't that impressed. by that fire, and very nice flank by Caeltos Heretics, who might be able to take out these Devastators. Very, very excellent grenade dodge by Caeltos. Oh my god, those Devastators, 30 hit points. They might go down, but there's nothing that can kill them really. So they might get away. There's still the damage over time on them from the Plague Champion, but not enough to actually finish them off. So VindicareX got really, really lucky with his Devastators there, and Caeltos is now free to try another round of gen bashing. He also did get some reinforcements in the form of more CSM. Which might or might not work out for him. Yeah, VindicareX is trying to finish that mine. It doesn't really matter, as even if it's half finished and it explodes, it still does damage. However, his Tech Marine is dangerously close to dying, but he does have the Artificer's Armor, which grants him a very nice health regeneration. As you can see, it's basically 3 HP per second. I think it's even more than 3. I just fail at stopping, counting it properly. Anyway. We see Caeltos. Well, just as I was about to say that he does not have any gens at all. He puts one down at his natural. Recently, from the matches I observed of Caeltos, he has been really, really late to get generators in every one of them. I think it's a new kind of strategy he's trying out, going for lots of units and placing generators as a second priority. Did seem to work out most of the time. I mean, right now he's going tier 2 faster than his opponent. Okay, there's not much he spent power on. He bought 2 aspiring champions, that's 50 power, but other than that, not so much. But, well, Vindicare hasn't been spending a lot of power as well, just slightly more, and he has been, he had 3 generators for most of the game. So yeah, it might be a new strategy forming up. Let's see how successful that is and if it will be adapted by the masses or not. Adopted, not adapted. I mean, it was Relic's initial goal with the There's Only War patch to extend tier 1 by making the tier 2 research way more expensive. For those of you who can't remember, upgrading to tier 2 used to cost only 40 power, 45 I think. I'm not sure how much wreck it used to be, if it was 300 or less. I think tier 3 was 90 power. It's been so long, I can't really remember myself anymore. Anyways, VindicareX loses his only Scout Sergeant to these Heretics, which is quite costly to replace. And he's still in tier 1, he just reaches the power mark to go tier 2. Not sure if he'll immediately go tier 2. He did, however, destroy the node on Caeltos gen farm and is now going to decapture it. So we'll have that generator producing for himself. But Caeltos, however, is destroying all these generators off Vindicare and even taking down the node right now, and there's nothing he can do right now. Vindicare did place a turret up here, but it's barely not reaching that power node itself, so Caeltos will be free to retake his power without getting shot at by that turret. Not sure if Caeltos has spotted it yet, I don't think so. And he is going for some Plague Marines right now, maybe expecting a fast vehicle from VindicareX, or maybe just to abuse the really, really high resistance of Plague Marines and the very high health regeneration to use them. I guess right now he will spot that turret, which is getting covered by these Devastators as well. The only really realistic approach path would be up here, which could take Caeltos quite a long time to do. So Vindicare has his enemy's power captured and is happily using that one generator as his source of income. We do these Heretics attempting a suicide rush. Not sure what the goal is here. especially since his CSM are also only sitting there. But there's this Plague Marines. And also a Plague Cloud being used. And the Devastators actually die. Oh my god. I think it was to the Plague Cloud and the CSM combined. But that was a really, really cool move, I think. And here we can see the ridiculous health regeneration of Plague Marines. I mean, oh my god, that's like 10 health per second for the whole squad. It's like crazy high. If you worship near them as a Plague Champion, they're pretty much unkillable. I mean, they out-heal, they almost out-heal the Tech Marines damage, which is quite a feat. Since the Tech Marine has the highest range damage output, and with Worship they clearly out-heal the Tech Marine. So yeah, quite a fun thing to do when you're facing really, really bad opponents is simply mass Plague Marines. They're unkillable. Well, they don't do a whole lot of damage, but 5 squads can kill infantry as well. Anyways, enough of silly tactics, back to the game. We saw one Plague Marine actually dying, and now the Heretics might take their chance to run into melee. Not sure. Caeltos does not have the zeal to pop Touch of Nurgle, and he's going in for to surround that Tech Marine and force him into melee. Seems like, not sure if that's actually a buggy position, but it seems like they had trouble attacking that Tech Marine in melee. But Caeltos also abused the mine that VindicareX put down, pulled back all his units, ground fired with his Plague Marines, triggered the mine. Plague Marines seem to ignore the mine he placed down as well. Well, not really, lost a member. But they're almost at full health for these two members, which is 1000, and they're at 900 something 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 right now. So yeah, well, Caeltos is definitely playing good in most engagements. He is losing in the whole VP war, 448 to 253 right now. And as I did put starting positions to fix, there's no weird bug switching around the VP counters. Relic fix, please. Alright, Tech Marine barely makes it out of these Heretics. Now with shotgun support. And Caeltos is keeping his CSM unupgraded so far. Not sure what his intention is, but these scouts are clearly dying. Ouch! We do see a Libby on the field, but not sure how much he will do. Dual Zinj Marines coming up, and those Plague Marines still on the field. We'll see Smite going down onto these CSM, or not. Not sure. Caeltos should definitely get his Plague Marines closer to that Libby to slow him down. And Libby very, very low on health, 160 hit points. He won't go down, but still. Very big health loss for that unit, and those scouts will be going down very soon. Well, not completely. So Caeltos still without generators, and he's still doing rather fine, considering that he has no generators at all. He doesn't have he has one single power point, which is upgraded with a node. VindicareX does have 3 generators spread all across the map. Also, something you don't see very often. It makes them harder to defend, but it also makes them harder to attack. I mean, you have 3 points where generators are, and you need to visit all 3 to completely stop the enemy's power intel. Anyway, Smite on Plague Marines, they don't seem overly impressed by the damage. And ouch, Zinj Marines do quite ridiculous damage. Ouchies. So VindicareX did go for a plasma can in order to counter the Plague Marines and the Zinch Marines. Especially with Veil of Time, plasma can be really useful. And there we go, first shot. Only partially hitting the Zinch Marines. Second squad is out of range. Lots of line of sight blocking terrain on here. Lots of small bumps where the plasma ball can get stuck on. So yeah, really not a good map to use plasma devastators on. Well, at least the center region. There's so much line of sight blocking terrain and other good stuff. Plague Marines will be able to take on that turret, and bam, there it goes. Warship unfortunately not reaching the Plague Marines. Otherwise Caeltos could have avoided some losses. We do see VindicareX going tier 3, and I guess if he gets out of Vendred, that could spell doom for Caeltos. As Caeltos is rather low on vehicle counters, he has these Plague Marines. Well, maybe he can make it work. He has Plague Marines, will get a Blood Crusher, combine these two, and he might be able to take out a Vendred, considering, well, if you have Warship support and stuff like that, to heal up your Blood Crusher, to heal up your Plague Marines. We will see. Nice use of the charge, knocking back that Libby. Won't be enough to kill him, I think. But still, will force him to spend quite some quality time in base, sitting there, being bored to hell while regenerating health.
Our fortifications are under assault.
Oh, I see doom. Ouch! That could have gone a lot worse. Luckily, Caeltos heard the plasma can revving up soon enough to at least attempt to dodge the shot, which semi-worked. One squad got reduced to half health, but lost no members. So really lucky for him. So that plasma can with Veil of Time support is really dangerous. But now that there's a Blood Crusher also around, he might be able to neutralize it. Not sure. Caeltos is still a little behind on VPs, especially since VindicareX is decapping his natural and going for his natural power farm again. So Caeltos definitely needs to do a little bit to get more VPs. VindicareX definitely saving up for Vendred right now. He does have enough resources to get a Predator out, but he does not seem to want one.
The enemy is capturing one. Press on to victory, Space Marines.
So yeah, Vendred in approximately 20 seconds most likely will be called right on top of these Mark of Zinch. And again, very nice use of the charge ability, knocking back these retreating units and finishing them off. So no more scouts for VindicareX. Caeltos is going for another Plague Marine squad. Will be very useful against this little fella, Vendred. Awesome. His main Plague Marine squad is still right here. I guess he knew what was coming. Yeah, definitely needs his Plague Marines right now to deal with it. His Mark of Zinch Marines will be completely useless. Plasma can doing some friendly fire onto the Vendred, and Vendred seems to be going for the Blood Crusher, but now that the Vendred has been hit with a Plague Missile, the Blood Crusher will be fast enough to quickly escape. Caeltos definitely needs VPs. He is leading heavily in unit composition right now. I think he has a very nice army right now. with these 2 Plague Marines, and the Blood Crusher might even be able to take on that Vendred, despite the Vendred being the most powerful walker in the game currently. But yes, some unfortunate positioning for Caeltos right there, getting his Tzeentch Marines caught right there. He has no warship support for his Blood Crusher, he definitely needs it. And those Plague Marines seem to be set to melee stance, not sure if that's the case. Blood Crusher taking care of these missile launches, that was pretty important. And Vendred already below half health. If VindicareX is not careful, he might lose it, which definitely is not good. But yeah, he has enough units to tie up these Plague Marines. Caeltos gets off 1 more Plague Missile before he retreats. VindicareX has no repairing units except for his commander himself. Plague Cloud at base, that is really nasty. And yeah, the Blood Crusher is still around, but it should try to get out. He's probably just trying to get enough energy for a charge, so he can charge out of base. There we go, just as he hits the 80 energy mark, he charges out, tries to get away into his heretics. Very, very nice movement there by Caeltos, saving that Blood Crusher. Really, really good. Veil of Time on these Marines, however, wants to deny him that Blood Crusher, but still he healed up enough. Marines lose terrible amounts of HP to these Tzeentch Marines. Really not good for VindicareX at this point. VindicareX is floating quite a lot. 600 rec and close to 400 power. Now he's going for Predator. Predator could be a lot more dangerous to that Blood Crusher, as it is a ranged vehicle. And really, really nice positioning again by Caeltos, putting his Plague Marines behind that piece of cover, so the Dreadnought can't immediately make it to him, but he can still fire at it. Really nice play by Caeltos. I really love that, what he does in this game. We do see the global repair being used on that Vendred. VindicareX really, really desperate to keep it alive. Caeltos needs to pull his Blood Crusher onto that Death Threat to kill it. Maybe even the Death Explosions of the Plague Marines will be enough. There is the Death Threat, the Vendred already dead. That is his new ability, Stoicism. Don't know if I'm actually pronouncing that right. 10 seconds of invulnerability and lots of boosted damage on death. However, it seems he got sort of stuck in there. I mean, the AI does take over for him, I think. So he will be just as stupid as a frenzied Coin Dreadnought. And Caeltos now building a shrine at center simply so he can reinforce, which is really, really good move. Mainly his Plague Marines, because those take ages to get back to base and heal up. VindicareX is making a push for top. He needs those VPs. Caeltos is making up for his early VP loss. Now that all units are reinforced, Caeltos is switching back to regular warship mode, healing up his CSM and his Plague Marines, who will most likely spot these units at the top. Also nice positioning of that tank, not pushing too far forwards, but still being in a position where he can attack any incoming unit. Has been spotted right now. Nice use of warship again. Smite doing its terrible damage to the CSM, but there come the dual Plague Marines. Gate of Infinity used on this missile attacks, very nice move, but they teleported right in front of dual Tzeentch Marines. So while it was a nice move getting them away from that Blood Crusher, it sort of put them in an even worse situation, as those Tzeentch Marines will be able to deal quite considerable damage. Now that the Librarian died as well, and with that Vendred dead, it's really looking bad for VindicareX at this point. He does have Assault Marines, but with dual Plague Marines on the field, I don't think they will be able to do much. Especially if Caeltos decides to get the Plague Fist on his Plague Champion. He does have the Armor of Pestilence, which when you're using lots of Plague Marines is not a liability, since you will be just as fast as your other units, and suddenly that armor is semi-useful. I still like it. It gives him a huge health boost. I mean, 1,300 hit points for an otherwise squishy commander. And yeah, right now it's looking really bad for VindicareX. He has very little units left. He is about to lose his tag squad. He might get a Noxious Cloud put into his base. And Caeltos still has this very powerful unit composition of a lot of range damage, but also melee deterrence in the form of these Plague Marines. And with that Blood Crusher as well, I think there's nothing that can stop him right now. I mean, a Vendread went down. Like, a Vendread. Best walker in the game. But yeah, VindicareX actually thinks the Vendread was a mistake. I'm not sure what kind of difference Terminators would have made, as Plague Marines have full accuracy. Yeah, Plague Marines have full accuracy against Terminators. So with their rocket launchers, they will actually deal quite decent damage to Terminators. And with the added Zinj Marines and Heretic support, that will be quite good damage. And we actually see a global I have never seen in a competitive game. The Plague of Undeath. Which turns dying units into your own zombies. Never seen it used. It lasts such a short while, 20 seconds I think, or 40. It's really not that long, and you actually still need to kill stuff to make it work. Yeah, seems to be Caeltos' plan all along was simply get 2 Plague Marines. That's why he completely forfeited controlling generators, since Plague Marines cost very little power compared to what they cost in Reg. So if he got generators, that would have just meant he would float a lot of power and have no Reg. We do see Touch of Nurgle being used to save that VP from being decapped. Even if VindicareX would have succeeded in capping it, it would not have been enough. So really great game by Caeltos. Really great strategy with those dual Plague Marines, being able to keep everything off his Zinj Marines. Even with having no power at all, that was really nice game, I think. I will definitely save that as well. So let's look at the scores. We have only 1 commander kill against VindicareX. Not sure when exactly that happened. Can't quite remember. We do have very high unit score for Caeltos. He did lose quite a lot, but he also killed a lot, and he reinforced a lot, and reinforcing gives a lot of points. VindicareX score really bad for his base marine. He lost a ton of stuff in tier 3 with that Vendread, with those Devastators dying, with everything. We do see VindicareX hugely outpowering his opponent, plus 600 power in a 28-minute game. That's so huge, and it didn't do anything. He couldn't use it simply because Caeltos had such a good army composition. There was nothing he could have done to counter it. Well, not much. I'm sure there was some way to counter that build, but it was just... Vindicare was playing a very regular strategy, and Caeltos strategy seemed to be really, really specialized, really tailored to counter what VindicareX was bringing onto the field, and completely ignoring going for generators was really part of what made this strategy work. Since there was nothing Vindicare could attack, there was no power he could deny his opponent. He couldn't really deny him wreck that much with Heretic Worship. He could keep his units alive most of the time, and so it was simply getting to the point where Caeltos had this army that was really, really well-rounded, really powerful in itself, and after that point he really controlled the VPs and the rest of the map, and I think that's what made him win the game. So yeah, really nice game. I really did not expect it to be this interesting. I mean, well, great game, and I hope you enjoyed it, guys. So stay tuned for more.